Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Mafia Memoirs, where it's always an adventure as we try to get people online with us. So, we have a super awesome guest lined up for you today. We have invited Diana Balboni of Into Details, and she is one of the most talented and sweetest ladies I've ever met. And she has a special knack and talent and love for interiors. And there she is. So give us just a sec. We're going to have her join us real quick. Boom, hit there. Oh, yeah, there she is. Add her real quick. All right, I have the add button now. There we go. Boom. All right. The table, because the table wobbles the camera and everything. You think we're in Alaska having an earthquake. So,
Ryan.
There you are.
Hey, there she
Success.
is.
How are you today?
Well, I'm really well, thanks. Sorry about that. That really
You're
gave
totally
us
fine. You're totally fine.
a little bit of a time there trying to decide that it's going to be, on your phone instead of actually on a computer. What a concept.
Yeah, that's my fault. I need to make sure that I'm emphasizing with those that are coming on live with us that they need to be in the Facebook, iPhone, Android app. They can't be on their computers. So.
Right. Well, I was just thinking it was going to be all nice and clear and I could see everything.
Oh, I know. Those darn Facebook guys.
Yeah, no problem. No
Well,
problem.
we're super excited to have you on board with us. You know, we had the opportunity to work side by side with you at Air Force One last year in 2018. And, the thing that really, really impressed me about you was you didn't care what you were doing. You were just having fun. I mean, even down to the plexiglass protection on the engine casing. So.
Right. Air Force One is a tremendous honor to be there. So you touch everything. You just learn to touch it all from the cases that's displaying an engine to the plexiglass on the side of the engine covers to whatever you just need to do. The wheels. I'm real good at wheels. I'm real good at the rims and getting the tires shiny. So, that's it's one of those sizes, but everything from President Eisenhower's Air Force One. I mean, what a tremendous honor, just to be there. Right. And then to have the number 3 of a 787 and the first 747 and 727s and 37s, and they're all there. So it's an honor. It's an honor to be there and working alongside you guys. Meeting and working with you for the first time was really, it was a hoot. We all had a blast. I think it was a good team, a great team.
It was a lot of fun. So
great.
So tell us, how did you get started? There's not a lot of ladies in the industry, and it seems like the ones that are, they're really, really good. Like Shay at Bill the Buff Man. There's Chris West's daughter and
Ryan Doyle.
Ryan Doyle.
Right.
I mean,
Diane Doyle. It's just
there are a lot
of amazing women, but they really do stand out. So how did you get started?
It's really funny. In 2013, I went to a financial guy who'd known me for, at that point, about 7 years. And he literally turned around to me and he said, "Diana, you just don't seem happy doing what you're doing. Why are you doing it?" I said, "Well, I had a good job. It was a desk job, out of the wind and cold and rain and all that." And I said, "Oh, gee, and the first thought that came to me was, oh my goodness, is it that obvious? And if it's that obvious to him, then that meant it was obvious to others. I mean, I was doing well, don't get me wrong, and I was making some good money. I was doing some government work and working in contracts and acquisitions, but it just didn't have my heart. And literally his next comment to me was, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Oh, you mean when I grow up?" And he said, "Yes, I want to detail cars." And literally it was out of my mouth before I think my brain engaged. It was something that I've always been interested in. I was telling somebody the other day that, years and years and years ago, I was here in Virginia on a visit with a friend of mine, and she had an issue of People magazine on the counter, and I kind of glanced at it and said, I'd much rather look at a car magazine than I would, People magazine or anything else that's out there. And I should have known way back then that would have been the case. But in any case, I said, you know what, that's what I want to do, and that's where I want to be, and that's what I want to do. So I started doing my research. I did my due diligence, and Rennie's name kept coming up. Rennie and Diane Doyle, Rennie and Diane Doyle, Rennie and Diane. Like, oh my goodness, this guy's got to be the guy I got to go to. And so I contacted them. That was the end of 2013, first part of 2000, and I waited. I had to wait, literally. So that was 13. It was the beginning of 2015 before I had an opportunity to get in touch with them, because I had to get that last year in, and that last year was to go through that full process. I decided to retire, because that was the other comment that he made to me. I could retire. I went, how can I retire? I'm too young. I know, and I've said it before, that, I keep thinking this is, another colored hair, but nope, it's there. I was old enough to retire with 10 years of government service accumulated. So it's not a lot coming in, but it's many blessings in other ways. And so I said, okay, let me do this. So in 15, beginning of 2015, as a matter of fact, February, the first week of February, I went and trained 4 years ago with Rennie and Diane, and had a blast. I had an opportunity, another blessing, that it was a one-on-one opportunity. I thought I was going to be caught in snow, and it was one of those years that they didn't have a lot of snow. And the first car he put me on was a Porsche. And then we had a very dirty mom and pop van, Toyota Sienna van. And we got that all taken care of and cleaned up. And we took care of, I think, Rennie's Juke also that week, and did a couple other things. So I was definitely hooked. Came home, applied for my business license in March. As a matter of fact, this week, it's 4 years that I started my business.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of fun. And I have met so many great guys, so many great people to be a part of, this team with the Detail Mafia and Ray Doyle and the guy. It's pretty special to me.
That's awesome. So I know, you and I have talked off camera a bit, and you have been doing a little bit in the background, education-wise, in addition to the training that you've already received, to really up your game, not only as a detailer, but also for your business. Do you want to talk about what you've been working on the last couple of weeks?
Sure. So, last year, and actually up into even last year, I had thought to myself, it just seems like there has to be more. Leather is an area in most automobiles, high end to again, vans, small cars, doesn't matter. And you want to take care of it. You want to be able to take care of this investment. So I had thought about it, and I thought about, geez, what else can I learn and do? And so I did a little research with the company at the end of last year about going and training in leather repair and restoration. And it kind of fell to the back burner, if you will, because I had some other things that happened. I did a lot of traveling. I was at SEMA last November. And prior to that, I'd had an opportunity to be out in Monterey with a great, bunch of guys in the Monterey Car Show and working on some of the cars. So I did a lot of traveling. I thought, you know what, I just don't need to add that to this year. So here, a few weeks back, about a month or so ago, it came to me again. Gee, maybe you ought to really pursue that. And while it was still, winter weather here and cold. And so I got in touch with Pamela Villagomez from Leather Solutions International, which is out of Asheboro, North Carolina, and registered for her class and drove myself down there. And for 3 days, Pamela taught me everything from basically from the hide to the moment it gets tanned to how you repair it if you have a tear or a rip or scrape and scuffs on leather. And I learned a lot. And if I took nothing else away from this class, it was one phrase that she said, and that is, leather is skin. It's everything. Leather is truly skin. And considering there's my other half.
Hey, welcome.
Leather is skin. And since it is skin, it needs to be protected, so.
Yeah, I think, and I think that's an important point, because I think, especially from the consumer side of things, they like the comfort and the feel of leather seats. But I think a lot of the average consumers don't really understand that there's some care that needs to be administered to really make those seats last and be preserved.
Right. And I looked at it two ways. I looked at it from not only the opportunity to complement what I'm already doing as far as auto detailing, but then also to take it during the winter months when it's very cold here in Virginia, and I work out of my home garage, that I can work in furniture. I can turn around, and if somebody has a leather jacket or purses or boots or belts, or, I mean, you don't realize how much leather we probably own ourselves that we don't even give a second thought to. We just say, oh, it's leather, and not go, oh, wow, that's leather, which is skin that maybe I need to keep that supple and flexible and keep it to where it's, I bought it for a reason. I like the feel of it. Well, same thing with cars. So that's why I went that direction and tested. So that was the other part of this, was to go and get certified in leather repair and restoration, not just to say, oh yeah, I can check off the box and it's one thing that I know. So I'm waiting for my test results. I think I did pretty well, but I will be considered also a leather certified technician. And then also my certification is from the IICRC, which is the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning and Restoration Certification. So I will be considered a certified firm in that, with that credential, if you will. So looking forward to this next level of areas I can move into.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I think, it's one of the things we talked to several people about, and I wanted to talk to you about it too, is, so, I mean, obviously from that description, having those certifications, IDA certification and that leather certification and inspection certification, it just, what does that mean to you and your business, and how do you, I get a lot of questions from folks about, why would I go do that instead of just doing the job I'm already doing?
Because I think it does give another level of, it's without, sound like I'm stepping onto credibility, that you have. And again, I am a member of the IDA and tested. I'm certified, skills validated for the IDA, taking Rennie's class and becoming a member of Detailing Success and then Detail Mafia. Detailing Success to me was the first. I could have gone probably just about anywhere and just gone to work side by side. And I'm not dismissing that or disqualifying that. But what I'm saying is, if you truly want to be certified and understand areas such as pH, what it means, is a product too acidic, is a product too alkaline, you'll understand a little bit more. Okay, Rennie asked me my very first question. He sat me down at his desk that very first day, that morning. He says, what are you concerned about? What are you worried about? Well, oh my goodness. I'd come up and I'm old enough to remember hearing horror stories of people burning through paint. And I told him, I said, I'm worried about burning through paint. He said, we'll take care of that. And darned if he didn't. I've, knock on wood, somewhere, I've not had any issue, but I learned from the best of what needed to happen so I can alleviate that, prevent that. And so that's what it is. It's not just, throwing it out there and saying, okay, let's just see what, if it kind of looks good. So yeah. I'm certified in the areas and the expertise that I wanted to build my business.
What's exciting to me as I reflect on our conversation is, number one, you got into this industry because it was something that you really loved and were interested in, right? And when you love and you have interest in it, you're able to devote your whole heart, your whole energy into it. And also that you went out and you got trained, not just by Rennie, but by the IDA, by the gal with the leather, and sorry, I forgot her name, but we want to give her a shout out. I think that a lot of times people think it's just one resource, and there are so many resources out there for you detailers that are trying to build your business that really you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't, one, take advantage of that, and two, network with other detailers and really learn what pads and what combinations of compounds work together, what's best in these scenarios, and really leverage, each other's knowledge to elevate and lift up the entire industry.
And that's exactly what, you know, this group does and others that I'm part of. And it's, you know, cars were pretty much straightforward, right, at one point. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking. You lifted the hood, you know, and I mean, I could see down all the way to the pavement. You lift the hood now on a vehicle and you can't see the pavement. There's no way, you know, and they're changing to make them lighter and more fuel efficient. Cars have different metal body structures, sometimes not even metal, and, you know, fibers,
Right.
fiberglass. I mean, let's, you know, look at the Corvette, right? Or you turn around and you learn other little items, little areas. Somebody says, oh, well, I want you to clean my seat belts. Well, let's stop and think about that a minute. You know, that's, you know, is that going to be safe if we go to clean and put some sort of a chemical on there and it dries out and then there's an issue? Or, you know, pulling wheels or whatever it is. You know, you need to be trained. There's too many areas now. There's too many materials, whether it's, you know, some detailers will tell you about the short nap of a particular carpet, or the, you know, long shag, or gee, let's, you know, King Ranch leather, whole different, you know, pardon the pun, animal, if you will, on seats than you would, you know, it's the same animal. It's a cowhide, right? But they've treated it differently. It's a different type. Now you've got a, you know, very expensive truck with this very expensive leather in it. And people say, oh, well, I've got to go to the dealership and get, you know, this particular product. Well, maybe not necessarily, but you have to know what it is you're going to put on there, right?
Yeah.
So training is integral in an industry that you want to move forward in and be the best at what you're doing.
Right. Absolutely. So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, you and I have talked about this before, but when we were at Air Force One, and you and I were working on, I think it was either B-29 or the B-19, but a young lady came up to us and saw you working and asked, I didn't know that women could be detailers. And I thought that was really a powerful thing that you did with that young lady. So can you kind of explain what you saw happen in there?
You know, it was pretty, it was an honor to chat with her, because somebody had said to her, go talk to that woman over there. And I have to say that, you know, there's a handful of us that are at AFO during that time.
Yep.
And for her to come up and approach me like that, I looked at it as an opportunity to say, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to be limited because you think it's a man's world, or it's just because it's the guys. What do you want to do? If it makes you happy, go do it. And I'm a perfect example in that, because somebody recognized me. I wasn't doing what made me happy. And so this makes me happy. And then if I can give back as we do at AFO, that to me that's what it's all about. And that woman, that young girl, I mean, you saw her take in what I was saying. And it wasn't just because it was me. I think it's because she didn't think that she could do something else that she wanted to do. And that's important. Do what you love. You know, as they say, do what you love, work at what you love to do, and the money's going to follow, if that's what's important to you.
Yeah. I love that you're just such an amazing ambassador, you know, not only for the industry, but for women. And I think that's really, you know, I think about the one Instagram post that Rod had his daughter out doing the headlights, you know.
Right.
I think it's great having the ladies out there. You know, I don't have none of my girls. Well, my one daughter, Kaylani, would probably get out there with me, but Jessica, there's no way. She's like, I want clean hands and fashion. I don't want cars and fumes. So.
Yeah, well, and that's which daughter that is. That's why we call her our princess. She doesn't want to get dirty. But she wanted to hang out with Dad, and I said, well, if you're going to do it, this is what we're doing today. We're changing the oil on a 3/4 ton truck, and we're restoring the headlights. And so she jumped right in, and she's actually really enjoyed it since then. She at least got to try something. You know, I don't care what she does, whatever makes her happy, she's going to do. But she enjoyed doing that, and she's talked about it with people, and just the experience of actually getting out and doing that.
Well, you know, I'm old enough to know and remember a time when, okay, so I've had an interest in cars most all of my life. I mean, it's just always been there. I always took care of my mother's car. My mother's been gone now 27 years. She had a 71 Olds Cutlass, and I I washed it. I kept it clean, right? Inside, outside, vacuum, did whatever that I needed to do. And it was a different time. We didn't pump our own gas, right? And late 70s, early 80s is when it started becoming that we would pump our own gas. But back then, you had somebody else who checked that oil or, made sure, and headlights, you didn't have to worry about headlights. They were all glass.
Yeah.
Right. And now they oxidize because they're plastics, they're polycarbonates, they're, other materials that they yellow out. So you need to have them clean and safe and all that. But it was truly a different time. So women should know, I think that it's great to know so that somebody's not going to snooker you, as the old saying goes. They're not going to take advantage of your maybe lack of knowledge that oh yeah, well, let's see, I'm going to, there's a nut in your squirrel cage and I'm going to take care of it. What? Just because my wheel is making a noise, you can tell me excuse me, what? And I mean, I literally had somebody tell me that one time and I went, okay, let me stop. You said what? There's a nut in my squirrel cage on my wheel, my tire, what? So, pretty funny, but it was that's a serious
That's awesome.
comment.
That is awesome.
That's a serious comment somebody made to me. And I'm like, I don't think so. Yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the movie Cousin Vinny when he has his
his wife goes on lengthy explanation of how that wasn't the original motor in a 57 Chevy, and she knows all the details. And I've got 3 daughters, and every one of them that, 2 of them are just coming into the age where they're going to be driving, and they already know that you're not going to be driving unless you know how to change the tire, change the oil, check the oil, all the fluids, and take care of the car, because you can't just go out there in the world and just expect somebody else to do those things for you. And if you do, you're going to get taken advantage of. So it's just general knowledge. It's about anything, right? I mean, it goes both ways. I mean, the stereotypes can go both ways. Everybody knows in my house, if somebody loses a button on something, I'm the one that sews it on. My wife doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So I sew all the buttons on, and all my girls can change oil. So that's just part of life,
So they wear the pants and you wear the skirt.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
It's a little more breezy, and I like that feeling. So
There you go. It's the kilt, right? It's a great week for it.
Exactly.
It's a great week for it. Not a problem. Just as long as you can still have that, have that stout, have that Guinness, it's all good.
That's right. So what do you have planned for the new year? As far as, obviously you've gotten some additional training. What are you planning to do for your business this year and your customers?
This is one of those years that I think it's funny you should ask that, because I've had several calls lately. I had a guy call me about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he goes, "Hey, I got your name from such and such. And the place where he got my name from was a place that I know traditionally lifts trucks." And I said, "Oh, great." I said, "What do you have?" And he goes, "Oh, well," he says, "I've got a Ram 2500. And I said, let me guess. It's, what color is it? He goes, "Oh, it's black." I said, "Oh, yeah, of course it's black." I said, "It's either going to be black or dark gray." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "I don't know what you guys are doing to me." I said, "Let me put it to you this way." I said, "I'm 5'4". I said, "I'm going to be eyeball to your door handle." And he started laughing. And I said, "That sounds pretty silly, but it's true." I said, "How do you think I'm going to get on the top of that truck?" I said, and some people, "Oh, well, you could get in the bed of the truck." I get in the bed of the truck. I'm only going to go back about a quarter of the way on the top of the cab. I'm still not going to reach it. Let's face it, right? So I'm really looking at probably taking my business into the direction of a lot of the smaller cars. I know that sounds pretty silly, but I want to be able to get them in my garage. And those smaller cars, the S2000s, I own an S2000. I love them. I think they're an amazing car. The VW Beetles, the little Fiats, which were disappeared for a long time, have made a comeback. And of course, the Mini Coopers. But then also Honda Civics, Honda Accords, small SUVs. So I think for me, one of the directions that I'm going to is from not only what I can offer to my customers, but safety for myself. These vehicles are getting lifted to such a degree that, the guys themselves can't hardly get in them. and then they don't want to take care of them. And I get it. I understand that, but I don't have the room to do that. So my business is going to be more focused towards probably some of the smaller vehicles in detailing. I know what I like. I know my passion for those vehicles, especially like an S2000, because I love it. But I also have a Honda Ridgeline truck. And so not a problem. You want to bring your Ridgeline. When it starts getting into the heavy duty trucks that have been lifted, twice over, and have wheels that are as big as tall as I am, I think it's time to say, let's look at something else. But I also want to take my business into especially the colder months. This year has been, and I think in a lot of areas of the country, winter has really hung on.
Mm-hmm.
And since it's hung on, it really makes it challenging to get out and detail a car. And plus, people don't necessarily always bring you their car because they don't see the need for it at that time because it's just going to rain the next day. But that said, I'm looking at also continuing with the leather repair and restoration and, complementing that. I do some warranty work for a company for cars. And when I mentioned to this person that I'll be able to take care of their interiors also a little bit more so with the leather, oh, she was elated. So I see a good complement there. And again, leather furniture, purses, jackets, belts, shoes, whatever, to be able to maintain and protect. And we talked about this in the beginning, that because it is a skin, because leather is a skin, it should be maintained. If you at least, my recommendation is at least every 6 months, and especially if you have sun beating down it, especially if your windows aren't tinted, the first place that leather is going to give away is going to be at that stitching. So it should be maintained, clean it up, soften it up, keep it supple, flexible, and then make sure that you protect it so you don't get things like blue jean transference on it, which is a big issue on lighter colored interiors.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to focus in kind of a little bit different areas. And, there's always other things coming up. There's always Mobile Tech is there, SEMA's there. So a lot of good events to be at where I can see, the guys that are my colleagues and that we work with and that are in the industry. But some amazing people. There's some amazing women, like you said, that are detailing and doing some really special things and special work, it's throughout the U.S.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time. I mean, we could continue going on and on, but the thing that I really love about that last bit of conversation is that you're finding niches that fit not only your interests, but also your capabilities, your physical side. Because I'm like you, I'm a midget, right? So, if I'm going to be doing Rod's truck, I'm going to need scaffolding all around it. And
yeah, he's actually standing up right now. I'm sitting on the floor. Just so everybody's
Hey, I'm not Chris Parker.
He said it, Parker. I didn't say it.
I love you, man. So
No, I think that is a good thing to look at. And there's a lot of people that want to, any industry, I don't care what it is, you want to have the status and you want to work on the coolest stuff. But I think you mentioned a really important thing is that a lot of people, if you're maintaining a business, you have to do what is available in your area for your climate and what makes sense for you. And I used to be a mechanic 100 years ago, and nobody wanted to do like the brakes on a Honda Civic. Everybody's like, oh, that's just boring. I want to work on, hot rods or whatever. You got to do the brakes on a Civic to keep the lights on and to maintain your status as a mechanic or as a whatever it is you do. So for you doing the smaller cars, that's a great niche. And there's tons of Miata and S2000 and smaller car clubs that, man, you could focus in on those and just be the go-to person. Yeah.
Right. And there's, there's enough work in every area, every town, every city in the country for detailers. If you're not taking that, there's going to be somebody else. I had a guy call me the other day. He says, look, I really don't need, do you happen to do paintless dent repair? And I was like, nope, don't do the PDR, but here's someone to contact, right? So you have to have at least that also, where you can have enough knowledge of what you can and can't do and what it involves to be able to refer them to somebody else that you yourself would go to if you needed that. And so, there's plenty of guys here that I can you know, and yes, and I do say guys, there's plenty of guys, because that's in this area who's doing these big trucks, and let them take it on. You know, they've got me by several inches, needless to say. And most of them, few guys that I know are over 6 foot or pretty close to it. And yeah, and have the setup to be able, and the space to be able to pull some of those bigger vehicles in and detail them. So I can see that, you know, moving forward also, right? For me, that what makes sense, what truly makes sense.
Yep, that's good. I think that's really smart.
Well, we really appreciate you taking a little bit of your time this morning to visit with us. So, you know, people in your area, how do they find you? Because, you know, you are the talented lady in your neck of the woods. So let's drive some people your way.
Well, I really do appreciate that. So I'm located in Sterling, Virginia, which is Northern Virginia. I'm literally about 15 minutes north of the Dulles Airport. They can find me online at, you know, the usual web address, www address, into-details.com. Somebody else has the into details, so that little dash is important. That is my website. I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, and I'm looking at creating, or having creating probably Kimberly Ballard, I think we've heard of before, to do some website work for me and maybe create a small little website for the leather end of things and complement one back to the other. And those are the best ways to locate me. You can locate me also at Diana at into-details.com. And you know, all my information is online also on that website, and my phone number. So,
and just to clarify, that is the letter N, to-details.com. So
correct.
It's not N-I-N, it's N, to-details.com.
That is correct. That is correct. It's into the letter N, and just kind of as it sounds, but it's, you know, here in this area with all the government, you know, we really like all the little acronyms. So it's into-details.com.
Yep.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time. So we always enjoy visiting with you. So.
Oh, I thank you and look forward to the opportunity of maybe seeing you guys again this year. It's and working side by side with you. A lot of fun. Thank you for this opportunity. It's been a blast. Didn't know kind of what to expect, but I do appreciate it. It's good seeing you guys and having a few moments to just sit down and chat.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Yep.
You too. All right. Bye-bye.
See everybody next week.
You bet.
Yeah.
Bye.
Tune in next week. It's for Art Baca.
Oh, good. Great.